Hi, I'm John. This is my show, A Sports Reckoning. So I'm going to start actually going through like all of Jimmy's videos and watching as much as I can. Okay? So I just put on the first one, and I'm like not even a minute into it, and here we go. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Now, the video I've been showing you with Jimmy with the kid, it's Jimmy starting a group where he's going to give out free cards to other kids, right? And he's starting it with the kid. He's telling the kid to go out and scout for other kids so you can give them free cards. This is my big issue is like, okay, look I've been buying cards last year, okay? So I have personal experience in this modern card market. I also had my personal experience as being in the 80s. The first baseball cards I was buying was 1983 Topps. Okay, I was buying 1983 Topps. In 1984, I bought the entire top set. I went to the local card shop, bought the entire top set of 1984. I did the same thing in 1985, like on my birthday. It's like, my dad says, what do you want for a birthday present? I said, I want the top set baseball cards, right? So I go to the LCS. Okay, and it's just like a little over $20, It was like a little over $20. Even back then, that wasn't like an enormous amount of money. 85, I did the same thing. Then like 86 and 87, I started getting back into it more, like buying packs and stuff. And because then in 87, it just exploded. Like 87 Topps. If you weren't around in 87 Topps exploded like a freaking hydrogen bomb. It was freaking everywhere. Everybody wanted it, and they were cool opening those packs because there were so many cool players and stuff, and the cards were cool. I mean, then it just exploded, and that's when the market just went nuts. And it's like, and then it led up to I collected, and I actually went to one of those first national card shows that was at the Anaheim Convention Center, which would have been right next to Disneyland and stuff. I can tell you a quick little story. I don't want to drag on too long, but after the card show was over, because it was just so funny after this happened, it was me and two of my friends. We were waiting for my friend's mom to pick us up, and we're at on the corner, there's a 7-Eleven. So we're sitting there, we go in there, we all come out with like big gulps and probably a bag of chips or whatever, and we're waiting on the corner, and then there's a Mexican guy sitting there. He's just some guy sitting there. We didn't really even notice him. And then he starts like going, hey, and he's like touching his mouth like, can I have a drink? Can I have a drink? So then you could tell, oh, this guy just jumped across the border, and he's like dying of thirst basically and shit, right? So one of us gave him our big gulp, and he just started drinking it so fast, but then he made him vomit, So then he starts throwing up, and shit's like, oh shit, So it's just like, damn, But he had the cup, so he could go. There's water spigot faucets all over in the place, so now you got a cup, you can go fill it up and get some water. So so that was it. We should have probably given him a little more money or whatever, but when you're a kid, we didn't have a lot of money anyways too. But that was just so that happened, and then right after that, next thing you know, we hear a car crash, boom, and it was like a van with a bunch of tourists in it. Bam! The van hits the telephone pole, and then the electric breaker thing that they have on the telephone poles, I can't think of the name of them right now, it exploded. So from the one Mexican guy starts throwing up. The next thing you know, this van crashes into a telephone pole, and it explodes. Boom! So that was just a funny thing. One thing that happened at the card show okay, so getting into cards when I was young, okay, and doing the chase and stuff, it wasn't like it took a lot of money. Now, there was cards that were more expensive. Like, I wanted a Michael Jordan rookie, but even at that time, it was too expensive. Like, you could say, like, when the 89 Upper Deck Ken Griffey came out, it was instantly, like, too expensive. You could buy the packs, though. You could get the packs. Like, I could tell you, the 86 Jose Canseco Don Russ rated rookie. One time I bought a pack. I was at a card shop, and I bought, I think, 1 or 2 packs. And this is like in 87 or 88. That card was expensive. And so I bought 1 or 2 packs, and I pulled a Jose Canseco rated rookie out of it, Don Russ. That was fun and stuff, right? But it was probably like, I probably paid like $5 for like 2 packs or something like that. It's not like it's crazy amounts of money. But the card stuff of what we're in now, it's a whole different world. It is different on a different level. It is different. It's not the same. It's not the same at all. There is nothing. There is nothing similar to what it was like collecting in the 80s compared to what collecting now is. Now it's about, you got to have deep pockets. There are cards that are way out of range. The boxes are super expensive. It's expensive. It's a massively expensive hobby. It's a big boy hobby now. It's different, which means that all the poor kids can't get involved in this, right? But here's the problem. Now listen to what Jimmy says right here. I'm going to turn this volume up because he's kind of a little quiet. So listen what he says right here. And this is what I'm saying. When Jimmy's out giving cards and stuff to kids, well, he's giving them to kids that can't afford them, right? This is the whole thing. But this is the problem. Listen what he says.
That is just... Why do you need the cards? The box is so addictive, dude.
Okay? They're so addictive. Okay? So Jimmy is telling the guy here as he's opening a National Treasure box, and what's he saying? They're so addictive. So Jimmy is feeding children a product that he knows is highly addictive. And Jimmy is the drug dealer. It's just like a drug to him. He's selling drugs. He's very much aware of it. It is so addictive. We'll listen to him again. Listen what he says. Listen how, because he's like talking, it's quiet. I'll turn it all the way up the volume this time. Okay? And listen how he says, it's so addictive.
That is just... Why do you need the cards? The box is so addictive, dude. Where are you starting with me?
It's the best stuff. Yeah, I got the good stuff, man. I got the good drugs. Oh, you need to feed your addiction, kid? Oh, you don't have any money? Oh, well, come give Jimmy a hug. I mean, because that's what is going on here. He's selling it like drugs. He knows it's addictive. And he knows that when he's giving kids cards, he knows that those kids can't afford cards. And just like any drug, once you take that first hit, you might be addicted. It might hook you. And now, if they're hooked and they need cards, where do they got to go to? To Jimmy. And then they come in there with their sad little eyes. Oh, I can't afford any cards. And what's Jimmy constantly doing? Oh, let me put my hand on your back and let me take you to the back room and let's see what I can find for you, kid. It's an opportunist. It's opportunist. And now, here's good old Geoff Wilson. He's doubling down. You know, instead of warning people about the hobby and saying, look this is this is a rich man's hobby now. This is a rich man's sport. This is not a sport anymore for children that don't have parents that are financially stable. If you don't have parents that are financially stable, don't get into this. That's what you need to be telling kids. This hobby is addictive. What we're doing here is very addictive and it's very expensive. That's my big thing when I'm trying to get the point across, that when they're trying to say they're doing it for the kids, it's wrong. The way that they're doing it, it's wrong. All they're doing is creating addictions for children that cannot support their addiction. And I don't have to explain. Do you people not know what the real world is? When people see somebody who's addicted to something, you've got opportunists who are looking to take advantage of that opportunity. That's how it goes.
This one is for the kids. I am real serious about getting more kids involved in the sports card hobby.
Okay.
Because
Did he just say he's really serious about getting more kids addicted to something that they can't afford? Now, I'm really serious about getting kids into the sports card hobby. But what did he really say? You got to read between the lines. He just said he's really serious about getting kids hooked on a product that he's selling. These are like drug dealers, feeding on children. They're the scum of the earth. That's what they're doing. They're not helping a kid getting a collection because there's no possible way that kid's collection is going to be substantial enough to when he goes out and starts talking to other kids and the other kid starts whipping out the other kid starts whipping out these cards. Instantly, that's going to create an inferiority complex in that kid. And that kid, how many of those kids then are going to go seeking to fulfill their addictive need of now they crave these high-level cards? That's how addiction works. I've been around it. I know how addiction works. You're not going to tell me that this is all going to go positive. And when you've got an industry that is feeding children addictive products that they know they can't afford, then you're going to have bad actors in there preying upon children who've got a lot of money, like Jimmy, who doesn't mind giving out stuff because he's obviously got some kind of other income. He's obviously not worried about generating an income from his cards. He's got other money. He's got other money that he's fine. But what's he doing? Full well knowing that the product that he's pushing is addictive, he's trying to get more kids hooked on his product. Just like what Geoff Wilson's doing.
Absolutely loved it when I was a kid. I'm sure many, many of you loved it when you were a kid as well.
Okay, when you were a kid, it was different and stuff. And Geoff Wilson, from what I believe, I think I saw a video of him talking about his mother on his Mother's Day video, and I think his mother was a lawyer. Okay, so we're not talking about Geoff Wilson grew up in poverty and didn't have access to maybe being able to have a little bit of money. And at that time, the money he would have got still might have been substantial amount of money, but still small compared to what we're talking about in the modern stuff. Like the kids, you can't even buy any of the stuff. Because the flippers bought it all out. And then what happened? The companies doubled the price of the boxes. Now, how are you helping the kids? This is not an industry for kids anymore. That's what I'm trying to make really clear here. This is not an industry for kids unless the kid is doing it with their parent. But when I was collecting cards, I was doing it on my own. My dad doesn't know shit about sports. Doesn't care. He has no idea. Doesn't know nothing about sports. My mother, she knew more about sports than my dad did, for sure, you know? And she would give us our little allowance and stuff, but and at that time, we could work it. And I would go find people who had cards, and I would hustle. It was like how he says in here, that it was a good experience. It was a good experience for me back then. I learned how to hustle cards, but I was hustling, but I was a hustler anyways. I can tell you here, you want to hear a hustler experience as a kid? You know the movie Karate Kid, when they go to the place where the golf course is at, and they're in the arcade and stuff, and they want to go on the water slide, right? Okay, that place is in the city I grew up, in Downey. That's Downey, California. That place is called Golf and Stuff. Now, I'm going to tell you, as a kid, I used to hustle at Golf and Stuff. Okay, all clean, but I had to hustle because I didn't have the money to go on the rides and play the arcade, and that's what I wanted to do. So I learned how to hustle there, and this was the hustle. If you went to Golf and Stuff and you paid for four people, and they would give you a scorecard for your miniature golf, right? Golf and Stuff had 4 deluxe golf courses, miniature golf courses. Golf and Stuff's an awesome place. I love Golf and Stuff, right? And so they had 4 golf courses, really nice ones, top level stuff, right? But if you paid for 4 people, and they would give you the scorecard, and on the bottom of that scorecard, when you paid for 4 people, on the bottom of the scorecard that you paid for, it would have a free gift, a free pass to go ride either the bumper cars or the little Indy cars. They also had little Indy cars. They had bumper boats. I said bumper cars, I mean bumper boats. They had a bumper boats and they had Indy cars, right? So on that scorecard on the bottom of it was 1 free pass to go ride one of those other things. So this is how I used to hustle Golf and Stuff. First of all, I would go search. I would walk to the golf course, and I would look at the last hole. It would be the last hole. I learned how to do it, and I would go look in the trash can. And because it's not dirty trash there in those trash cans, it's just stupid trash, right? And I was like, I'm a poor kid. I'm hustling. So I would go look in the trash cans at the end of each golf course. So there's 4 different areas. First thing I would do, I'd go look in the trash can. I would start looking for those golf cards, because a lot of people, the scorecards, they would get them and they would just throw them away. They didn't know that the free pass was on there, or they might not really want it anyways. So I would just go look in the trash cans and I'd find them. I learned how to make money. This is like what's a kid. You learn how to hustle and make money, because I didn't have money and shit, right? So I had to figure out ways to be able to do it on my own. So I would find those passes, I would take them, and then if I needed more, if I found some, that'd be cool, and if I didn't find enough, I would go walk the golf course, because I'm a little kid, and go ask, and so I'd go up to people and I would see there was a color. I think the scorecards were a certain color, so I knew if I saw that color, I knew they had a pass on the bottom, right? I'd just go right up to the people and I'd say, hey, are you going to use that free pass on the bottom of your thing there? And a lot of times they would just be like, here's a kid asking for it, and they would just give it to me. Whether they were going to use it or not, they would just give it to me, right? Because I can tell you one of the best, funniest stories is I hustled from one person. I said, hey, are you going to use that? And they gave it to me. They gave me the pass. I was over there selling. Then I would go over there to the Indy cars, And I would sell them because then what I'd do is I'd get enough money for, because they also at that place they'd have pizza and soda and shit, right? So I'd get enough money so I could eat lunch and then I could play in the arcade all the time. Or then I'd go ride the Indy cards. If I wanted to ride the cards, I got a free pass. I'd have a good old time, right? This is what I used to do at golf and stuff. Anytime I wanted to go to golf and stuff, I knew how to hustle money over there and make money. And that's what I do. So one time I'm over there selling the passes on the Indy cars, and the person who had given me the pass, that person came over to go ride the cars, and they gave me a free pass, and I sold it back to them. That's one of my best fucking stories ever. I think that was so awesome. And that person got a life experience, because I know now as an adult, life experience is valuable. So that person got to say, this kid came up and got the pass, and then I went back over there, he was selling them, he sold it back to me and shit. That story's worth money. So even though the guy, he had to pay a few dollars for a pass that he had for free, and then he paid a couple bucks for it and shit, but he got a cool story and shit, right? And he got this... he got to help a kid out. That's like, I was hustling and shit, right? Okay, so that's what I'm saying. I would hustle, and that's what it takes and shit. But so, when these kids are out there and they're finding that they need to create some kind of hustle, it's just there's going to be bad actors and opportunists who are looking to take advantage. It's just a matter of time before they come across the wrong person who's wanting to put their hands on them and shit. And that's the problem with this thing of what's going on. And Geoff Wilson, I can tell you too the story, he got a job at a card shop. The first day the boss left him alone, some kids came in and they hustled his ass. They're like, here, I know the story. I've seen the video of him talking about it. He's like thinking, oh, it's the dream job. I got a job at the card shop, right? He goes into the card shop because he's not from the real world. And these other kids who are like me, like ghetto kids who know how to hustle at a young age, know how to take advantage of things. Now, I wasn't a criminal like that. I had done some criminal shit, but I wasn't usually like that kind of crowd. I wasn't one of those kids that was constantly stealing. I wasn't looking to steal. I was looking to hustle shit, right? And, it's not the same thing. But the other kids are out there, they're looking to steal. I had a lot of those friends who were always out stealing shit, And so Geoff Wilson was working in the card shop. The boss had left him alone. A group of kids came up, like a couple of them kept him busy saying, let me see that card, let me see that card, while the other kids were cleaning out the shop. Right? Then the owner comes back and it's like, dude, I got ripped off. You're fired, Geoff. Get out of here, So it's like, that's how shit goes in the world. There's bad experience. Like, Geoff, as soon as you had a chance in your life for somebody to take advantage of you as a kid, what happened? You got taken advantage of. You don't think these kids are going to fall? And now, think about the real world, Geoff Wilson. If you didn't have a parent who actually had money, right? What if you had been there on your own and got that job on your own without having any parent? What if the dude knew that you didn't really have a stable family to fall back on? And what if the owner of that shop said, you owe me money now. You owe me money, And the guys, you're thinking you're going to make $30 a day. And what happens if that owner of the shop says, you owe me $300 for the stuff that got stolen? And what if that dude was a sexual predator and he says to you, okay, well, this is what you need to do. Come on in the back with me and here, let me frickin' knock one out on you and shit, right? Here, go ahead and here, what if he's like, here, go get that lube and here, rub this for me and shit, right? Would you have done it? Maybe you wouldn't have, but I can guarantee you there's a whole shitload of other kids that will do it. And once they do it once and then they're like, okay, that wasn't so bad, then maybe they feel a craving, that addictive thing that's in them, and they're thinking, I need more, and they're, I know an easy way to get it. They don't know how bad it is. Next thing you know, they're doing crazy shit. It's bad. It's a bad situation for you to just be inviting kids in the way you are.
For me, buying cards, selling cards, and trading cards while I was a kid formed the basis of my entrepreneurial career.
Now, like I agree on that, and it's true. The kids that have good parents who get them into it slowly, and they slowly go through it, and they work on it slow so they don't get this addiction, and they've got a parent watching them over, controlling, and the kid knows that it's a good, safe environment. Yes, it can be very beneficial for the right kids, but for these other kids, it can be extremely detrimental to them because this is not the place for kids who don't have a good, stable home environment and don't have good foundation financially in their life. If they don't have those things, because they're going to go to the school and they're going to be friends with these other kids who do have that stuff. And those kids are always like, look at this, look at what I got, look at what I got. Then that's going to make that kid want to desire to go get that stuff. So how's he gonna get it? What's gonna happen in this world? How's he gonna get the stuff? Because the shit is unreachable. It's unattainable. The prices are way too high. And then the one kid gets it, and then the other kid recognizes that this kid got something very valuable, and he knows that the kid couldn't afford it. So then there's another kid that doesn't have much money. He starts saying, how'd you get it? And it's like, man, I'll do shit. What'd you do? I'll do shit. So then that kid then takes this kid over and introduces him to the same guy, and now he's molesting that kid too. It's bad. This can turn really bad, and you guys are not doing anything to protect the kids. You're actually doing everything to endorse this to be happening.
That gave me those early entrepreneurship experiences, those early business experiences, and now I've started 14 different companies.
Yeah, and just saying real quick, okay, he obviously would have been a kid that probably had a college fund, right? So when he was a kid and he was going to school, like for me, just an instant, okay? When I was a kid and I had to go to school, like sometimes I lived miles from the school, and my mom, sometimes she didn't have a car, right? And so I had to have my bike or my skateboard, or I'd walk to school. So just getting to school is a problem. Then there's like clothes, okay? In my house, we didn't have a washer and dryer. Okay, I had to go to the laundromat. There was a thing constantly where they would see me washing my clothes in the bathtub when I was a kid, and I'd have to then hang them up, right? Sometimes in the morning, in the wintertime, they weren't dry. Sometimes it's like, shit, I gotta put on wet clothes to go frickin' now walk out into the cold to go walk 3 miles to fucking school. That's the real world. You might not have fucking had to deal with that shit, Geoff. You think shit's just so easy. When you woke up, you had clean clothes. You had breakfast to eat. You knew you had a safe ride. Somebody was taking you to school in a car. You had all those things that you take for granted that you don't understand. The kids out there, there's a whole bunches of them, they don't have that shit. And you feeding them a few cards is not going to do anything to satisfy a craving that they're going to be desiring of being a card collector. It's only going to create an addiction of which they cannot afford. And it's going to lead to molestation taking place.
14 different companies, but that experience of doing that as a kid is really what got it all started.
This is actually white privilege at its finest. That's exactly what you're seeing here in him. When you people want to recognize the face of white privilege and white supremacy, what all of that actually means, there it is. That's the face of the white supremacist, white privilege story. That's his story. Prototypical white privilege kid.
I've gotten my kids into collecting. We've started our own YouTube channel together. My kids have their...
Oh, see, look at, yeah, you started your own YouTube channel because you've got video cameras. Your kids have access to video cameras. Your kids have access to computers. You've got smartphones. They've always got internet access. They never, ever have to worry about that. They've got clean clothes. Anytime they want clothes, let's go shopping. They've got food to eat. They've got plenty of cards that they know that they're going to get when you pass away. They already know they've got a huge card collection that's their stuff too. The other kids are not like your kids and not like you. White privilege motherfuckers.
Card Kids YouTube channel, which we're going to continue to build on because it is a great way to encourage kids to get in. And I'm going to do more right now for kids. Here's what I'm going to do. This is going to be for everybody watching, not even a giveaway. If you have a kid, if you have a child who is into collecting, I want you to email me. Send it to cardkids@sportscardinvestor.com. Again, cardkids.
Okay, so if you're a kid, like I said, you're a kid, you're not privileged, you don't have parents around who are just like interacting with you. And here, buddy, yes, my good little child, yes, let's go ahead and send an email to Geoff Lewis and we'll receive a pack of cards that which we can open together. This will be very joyous for us. Lots of kids do not have that stable home environment. So now you just caused the problem to get even worse. You're excluding the kid who doesn't have a parent, who doesn't have the easy access to the stuff, and now that kid's like feeling left out. Because what you just said, if you have a kid, you just spoke like you're speaking to the parent. What about the kid that doesn't have a parent? You're not doing anything to help that kid. You're only going to cause problems. This is an environment of which kids do not belong. You should never even talk about kids. Kids are only allowed to be brought into this community if they're brought into it from their parent. Besides that, shut the fuck up. Leave the kid. This is not for kids. This is not for kids. And I heard like the frickin' Josh Luber of Fanatics talking about kids, that he wants to have packs available for everybody. And it's like, yeah, it's a good idea, but you think the kids are too stupid to not know that the cards they're getting are not valuable? They're not going to buy those cards. They're not going to want them. They have no value. There's going to be like, it's like a slot machine and shit, right? You're just getting them hooked. There's no doubt that this is addictive, just as gambling is, and it's working with the same like scientific strategies of like how a slot machine works, right? It's the science of gambling. That's what they brought. They took that science of gambling and they infiltrated the card market, and that's what they're doing. The people are not opening up sports cards packs. They're playing slot machines. That's what they're actually fucking doing. I've been around gambling. I worked in casinos. I can see exactly what is going on. I'm telling you, this is not a place for kids. It's a casino. Casinos, at least, like, casinos got rules. You know, casino is much more respectable environment. 21, get out of here. Kids, you can only walk across the floor. They got security all over. Kids can't stop and be watching a machine. They instantly jump on them. No. That's not allowed here. We don't play around. This is no kids environment. But you're feeding that shit to kids. I'm telling you, I see it clearly. Opening boxes and shit is slot machines. It's a slot machine. It's gambling 100%. It has nothing to do with being a sports fan. Nothing anymore. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It has to do with playing a slot machine and trying to hit the jackpot. Baby, jackpot, go! Jackpot, baby! Woo! And then everybody cheers. And then you go and put it on your new app, The Hits, whatever it's called. Something that I saw you guys think, The Hits, right? And then now you've created that feeling in people. That's what happens. I saw what happens. The worst thing that can happen to a person in the casino is for them to hit their first jackpot on a slot machine, because that's when the drug addiction is created. Because that's when all the endorphins go crazy, and then what happens is now they start thinking, I've got free money. So they start betting a little bit more and start betting a little more often, which causes an addiction, and they will not stop until they either go broke or they hit another one. But when they hit another one, that's not going to be sufficient enough funds to take care of the addiction. So it's just a matter of time before they blow through that money, and now they're just left with an addiction. I've seen it all too often. I know exactly how it works. So when you're here spouting the bullshit of what you're spouting, it's very easy for me to understand the problems of what is coming out here. As Jimmy just said in the beginning, it's so addictive while he's opening National Treasures boxes. Come on.
It's at sportscardinvestor.com. And every single kid that emails, I'm going to send a kids pack to.
Okay, is that pack gonna be enough to take care of a kid's addiction? And he just said there, he said every kid that emails. So are you now advocating children to send you emails? Are you trying to have communications with children? Because first you initiated with the parents, but then you said to every kid. So kids are just gonna send you stuff. And now you're in communication and changing addresses. You're getting home addresses of children. And in the network of what he's in the new business world, information is extremely valuable. Now, if he wanted to, would he legally be allowed? I don't know. Would he legally be allowed to take that information that was given to him, and would he be allowed to sell it off as a product? And if he does do that, who's not to say that there's not pedophiles out there that are buying that information from him? Like I said, I don't know if he would be allowed to do stuff like that, but maybe there is something there. But I know that information is extremely valuable, and now he's just collecting information, and it looks like he's giving something out for free, but in reality, he's collecting information which could be extremely valuable in that kind of world, in their analytical world, I don't know the technicalities of that, but I know that that would be valuable information in that world of these people. They collect information. That's why they give you good deals on this stuff, because they're collecting all your information and they're selling it off. There's all kinds of stuff like that going on, these backdoor deals that we are not aware of. And is he the kind of person that's not going to take advantage of an opportunity because he's worried about some kid getting hurt and screwed in the, and I don't think that's going to happen. He's not going to worry about some kid getting an addiction, because here he is feeding the addiction to the kid. Oh, you can't afford it? Don't worry, I'll send you a little pack. Me, I'm the nice big older guy. Well, it's just a matter of time before the kid runs into somebody who's not so nice and is taking advantage of him. So that's it for this video. We'll be back soon with some more.